3 battalions were raised from among the Royal Marines during the Napoleonic Wars, seeing combat in Portugal, northern Spain, the Netherlands and North America. The 1st Battalion formed at Plymouth on 29 November 1810 under the command of Major Richard Williams. It consisted of 6 companies, plus an attached company of Royal Marine Artillery. It embarked, arriving in Lisbon on 8 December 1810. The battalion grew to 8 companies, plus the attached artillery company. It left Portugal in February 1812 and disembarked at Portsmouth. There it remained until 6 June 1812, when it embarked aboard HMS Diadem. The battalion arrived off the coast near Santona on 15 June, and was involved in the attack on the fort at Castro Urdiales. The fort's garrison of 2 companies of infantry capitulated on 8 July, the French having evacuated the town the day before. On 10 July, the battalion re-embarked, intending to go to Portugalete, but returned to Castro shortly afterwards. The French, unawares that the Marines had returned, launched an unsuccessful counter-attack against the fort's Bilbao Gate. Major Williams was appointed commander of the fort on 30 July. The Royal Navy attacked Santander from 30 July onwards, with the French evacuating the town on 3 August. The first 6 companies of the 1st Battalion embarked for Santander to support the attack and arrived on 4 August. This force re-embarked on 10 August for an intended attack on Guitar, its destination changing to Portugalete, where it arrived on 12 August. After the Marines had destroyed a fort that the French had abandoned, the Marines re-embarked and returned to Santander. The force disembarked at Zumaia on 18 August, along with the 2nd Battalion. The artillery companies of both battalions deployed opposite the Rock of Guitar. Both battalions held the area until ordered to re-embark on 20 September. During October, the 1st Battalion was deployed before Santona, at Castello. The news that a French division was approaching to reinforce the 1,500-men garrison at Santona led to the recall of the battalion on 1 November. However, the recall was countermanded and the battalion resumed its positions. It returned to Santander on 14 December. On 21 December, the 1st Battalion, which numbered 536 rank and file, and its artillery company sailed from Santander in HMS Fox, HMS Latona, and HMS Venerable, arriving at St. Helens, Isle of Wight on 31 December. The right wing received orders to proceed to Plymouth on 6 January 1813, where the battalion was to perform garrison duty at Plymouth and to prepare for imminent deployment to North America. The 1st Battalion embarked and Diomede on 30 March, set sail on 7 April, and arrived in Bermuda on 29 May 1813. There it and the infantry already present were formed into 2 brigades. The embarked artillery brigade, supporting both battalions, comprised 131 officers and men, 4 6-pounder guns, 2 8-inch howitzers, 2 5.5 howitzers, 2 10-inch mortars, and a quantity of Congreve rocket launching frames with associated munitions, all under the command of Captain Thomas Park. On 25 June, the 1st Battalion participated in the attack on Hampton, Virginia. On 13 July, the Marine Battalions were involved in the occupation of Ocracoke and Portsmouth, and engaged in the occupation of Kent Island on 7 August. Later in the year, the 1st Battalion went to Ilonoix, south of Montreal in Canada, while the 2nd Battalion went to Prescott, on the St. Lawrence River. A detachment of the 1st Battalion, under Lieutenants Caldwell and Barton, was present at the Battle of Le Colmilles. On 16 August 1814, the battalion received orders to be disposed for naval service, with the greater part of the battalion to go to Lake Ontario and the remainder to go to Lake Champlain. In November 1814, the 1st Battalion was reconstituted in Quebec and shipped south in support of operations off the coast of Georgia. The 2nd Battalion was formed at Chatham, and deployed to Portsmouth in July 1812. It consisted of 6 companies under the command of Major James Malcolm. On 15 August, the battalion embarked aboard HMS Latona and HMS Fox, to deploy in northern Spain under the command of the squadron of Home Rigs Popham. The battalion disembarked at Zumaya on 18 August, and joined up with Spanish forces under the command of Francisco de Longa. The battalion re-embarked on 20 September, and were landed at Santander on 28 September. Further reinforcements for the battalion disembarked soon after. Diadem arrived on 29 November at Santander, resulting in 2 companies being added and another company of artillery being formed. Some of the reinforcements had returned from garrison duty on the island of Anholt, Denmark. On 21 December, the 2nd Battalion sailed from Santander, along with the left wing of the 1st Battalion, aboard Latona, arriving in Cawsand Bay on 4 January. Diadem carried the 1st, 2nd, 7th, 8th and AMP 10th Companies. HMS Iris carried the 2nd Battalion's artillery company and supplemental company, with the remainder of the battalion embarked upon the transports Witten and Mariner, leaving the town to Spanish forces commanded by General Mendizabal. The surviving Mr. lists show the Marines disembarked at Plymouth on 7 January 1813. The deployment of both battalions in northern Spain forced the French to redeploy 30,000 men away from the Salamanca campaign. The Duke of Wellington was so impressed that he requested they would be placed under his command, but was rebuffed by the Admiralty, given the heterogeneous nature of the battalion, and its deployment in Spain immediately after inception. Major Malcolm felt that the 2nd Battalion was lacking in discipline. He requested that the 2nd Battalion be deployed to the barracks at Berry Head Fort in Torbay, so that drilling of the unit would result in better discipline and cohesion. The 2nd Battalion was dispatched to Berry Head on 14 January aboard HMS Diadem and HMS Latona, having boarded on 12 January. Within a month of the battalion's arrival in Berry Head Fort is the intensive drill bore fruit. The 2nd Battalion embarked on the ships HMS Romulus, HMS Diomede, HMS Nemesis, and HMS Fox on 30 March, set sail on 7 April with the ships carrying the 1st Battalion, the transport vessel Mariner and HMS Superb, and arrived in Bermuda on 29 May, where the Marines and the Royal Veterans, with the 2 independent companies of foreigners already present upon the island, were formed into 2 brigades. The 2nd Battalion was employed alongside the 1st Battalion until late in 1813, when the 2nd Battalion was deployed to Prescott, on the St. Lawrence River. On 6 May 1814, it participated in the Battle of Fort Oswego, suffering fatalities of 1 captain, 2 sergeants and 4 other ranks. Its final engagement was the Battle of Big Sandy Creek, where an element of the battalion made up part of the 180-man force. Thereafter, the battalion's companies were broken up and its men were dispersed among the squadron and flotilla on Lake Ontario, as per orders from Commodore James Lucas Yeo. Following the order, the 2nd Battalion ceased to exist as a fighting force. All that remained were the staff elements. When the 3rd Battalion arrived in Chesapeake, they were renumbered as the 2nd Battalion and came under the command of Lieutenant Colonel James Malcolm. Upon the orders of Vice Admiral Sir Alexander Cochrane, 3 of the 10 companies were detached from this unit, to become the regenerated 3rd Battalion, under the command of Major Lewis. The recreated 2nd Battalion was present in the Chesapeake Campaign, participating in the Battle of Bladensburg, the attack on Washington, and the Battle of Baltimore. Also present during the campaign were the 3 companies of the Corps of Colonial Marines under the command of an Army officer, Captain Reed, and a composite battalion of Marines, formed from ships' marine detachments, frequently led by Captain John Robbins. A composite battalion of 100 men also took part in the Battle of New Orleans, under the command of Brevet Major Thomas Adair. Following the failure of the British attack against Fort McHenry on the 13th of September, the 2nd and 3rd Marine Battalions proceeded to Tangier Island, where a barracks for 600 men was created on the understanding they would be spending the winter on the island. Orders were received on the 11th of December to embark, the Marines later disembarking on Cumberland Island on the 10th of January 1815, along with the 1st Battalion and 2 companies of the 2nd West India Regiment. Thereafter, this force attacked Fort Peter on the 13th of January, subsequently marching on the town of St. Mary's, and occupying it for about a week, before retiring to Cumberland Island. It is understood that an element of the 2nd Battalion could have participated in the Battle of New Orleans. The musters show 3 dead men and several men wounded. Ironically, the battalion's final action was a purely artillery engagement. The battalion's rocket detachment, commanded by Lieutenant John Lawrence, were on HMS Tonnant, and were put ashore on the 7th of February 1815, to participate in the attack on Fort Bowyer. Thereafter they returned to Portsmouth and were disembarked on the 11th of May 1815. The infantry companies were embarked aboard HMS Albion for the return to England in 1815. The artillery company was disembarked at Chatham on the 20th of May 1815. The 3rd Battalion, after Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig in October 1813, the French troops retreated to France. A provisional government was formed, the Dreimannschaft, which invited the exiled Prince William VI of Orange to The Hague. A token British force accompanied the Prince of Orange to the Netherlands in November 1813. Most of the British Army was fighting the Peninsular War, so the 2nd Battalion, 2nd Foot Guards and several companies of Marines were hastily embarked at Deal. These companies were to form the nucleus of the 3rd Battalion. A further 2 companies of Marines arrived on the 19th of December, accompanied by Major George Lewis, who assumed command of the Marines. This force was involved in fighting around Krabendijik, until Russian troops relieved them on the 18th of January. When the Marines arrived in Portsmouth on the 21st of January, they were formed into the 3rd Battalion. The battalion had an establishment of 10 companies of 100 men, and 1 company of Royal Marine Artillery. The battalion was commanded by Major George Lewis, who since the 19th of December 1813 had been the officer commanding the marine companies deployed in the Netherlands. The artillery company were issued with knapsacks just prior to the departure. The battalion embarked on the 29th of March, set sail on the 7th of April, and disembarked at Bermuda. The infantry company companies were aboard HMS Regulus, HMS Melpomene and HMS Brune, with the artillery aboard HMS Donnan. After a sojourn, the battalion sailed from the Chesapeake on the 30th of June, and joined Admiral Cockburn's squadron on the 16th of July. Just prior to the liaison, a detachment of 12 Royal Marine gunners and 100 Royal Marine infantry were transferred to HMS Hermes and HMS Caron, to accompany Brevet Lieutenant Colonel Edward Nichols to Florida, where they would remain for the duration of the war. On the morning of the 19th of July, the battalion landed near Leonardtown and advanced in concert with ships of the squadron, causing the U.S. forces to withdraw. The battalion was deployed to the south of the Potomac, moving down to Nomini. The battalion was subsequently landed at St. Clements Bay on the 23rd of July, Macodoc Creek on the 26th of July, and Chaptico, Maryland on the 30th of July. The first week of August was spent raiding the entrance to the Yokomico River, which concluded with the capture of 4 schooners at the town of Kinsale, Virginia. On the 7th of August, the battalion stormed a gun battery of 3 artillery pieces, situated on the Cone River. During the Chesapeake campaign, the 3rd Battalion participated in the Battle of Bladensburg, the attack on Washington, and the Battle of Baltimore. The attack on Washington cost the Navy 1 man killed and 6 wounded. After Lieutenant Colonel James Malcolm arrived, the battalion was split into the reconstituted 2nd Battalion and the 3rd Battalion, as outlined below. Vice Admiral Alexander Cochrane ordered that 3 of the 10 companies from this unit become the nucleus of a regenerated 3rd Battalion, under the command of Major Lewis. These 3 companies joined the 3 companies of the Corps of Colonial Marines, formed in May of that year, to make a new 3rd Battalion Royal and Colonial Marines. The Colonial Marines had made the combat debut on the raid on Pungatig Creek, with 1 fatal casualty, and had then carried out incursions at Chesconessix Creek in June and Onamcock in August, and were involved in the Washington campaign with 1 man killed and 3 wounded. Prior to the establishment of the Corps, some of its men had been employed to good effect as scouts and guides with raiding parties. The 3rd Battalion subsequently deployed to Cumberland Island along with the 1st and 2nd Battalions. When news reached the troops that peace had been made, the 3rd Battalion embarked on the 10th of March, disembarking on Island Island, Bermuda, on the 21st of March. The battalion's several colonial companies were renamed the 3rd Battalion Colonial Marines and, after 16 months of garrison duty in the new Royal Naval Dockyard, were settled on new lands in Trinidad on the 20th of August 1816, forming the community of Americans in the areas known since then as the Company Villages. The 3 remaining Royal Marine companies of the original 3rd Battalion departed Bermuda in May 1815 to return to England.